Okay? Then after this, you go to your gross lab now. What specimen will I use? The skeleton. Di ba? Or the loose anterior wall. Remember, we removed the anterior wall? Oh, at least there are ribs, there is the sternum, and there are muscles. And I can use that specimen for landmarks. If not, the skeleton, but you have only one skeleton. Okay? Oh, second slide. Patok na patok. Tip, tip. Oh, ayaw. Ayaw na magpa-review. Tama na yan. Next. Maybe landmark. Maybe the heart itself. What? I told you already, right? Clinical valvular area. So when will they appear? In connection with the valve. Right? Or again in the anterior chest wall. If I will pin or take a certain area, 1, 2, 4, 5, you have 4 valves, right? Then maybe I will take the area and then I will just ask you what valve is best heard during auscultation. Okay? Of the pin area. But they are not involved. You just remember them. Oh. The aortic valve is right, second intercostal space, parasternal line. Parasternal lines, and that's number 1. The aortic one, number 2, your pulmonic. You know this already, right? It's on the left side, so it's the reverse, right? Anatomically speaking. Left, second ICS, parasternal line. And then your tricuspid is number 4. Is left fifth ICS but not MCL. It's not mid-clavicular, it's parasternal line. The only one that falls on the mid-clavicular line is your mitral valve. Left fifth ICS, mid-clavicular line. Kaya maganda yung may Google Images. Microsoft Edge. Okay? So I may give the valve in a heart. Pin, and then I will ask you the valvular area, no more anatomical, no? Sa akin, there's no use for anatomical unless you want to shoot something through the mitral valve or through the... Okay? Or I will take the landmark and then I will ask you the valve that is best heard, no? Siyempre, implosion ng leaflets. So next. The wall, still in the wall, the muscles. What muscles? External, very easy. And then if I will remove the external, you have internal. Di ba external is external? It's a juncture and runs downwards medially. While the internal runs the opposite direction, downwards laterally. I may ask you to identify those things, or even serratus anterior, or entrance versus thoracis. So 4 muscles, internal and intercostal, external intercostal, transversus thoracis, serratus anterior. Identification, pin. Okay? In connection with this. Okay, ito, I think you've heard of this or na-lecture yan. When you do thoracentesis, you know that? Inserting an aspiration needle or tube to evacuate, let's say, air, what else? Blood, transudate from the pleural cavity. You insert the needle through one side. Our choices are A, B, C, D, right? 4 choices. So you choose, side view. Or maybe through the rib. You fracture the rib. Maybe insert the needle at the lower border of the rib. It wants your patient to bleed. Okay? And then the middle of the ICS, intercostal space. Or over the rib. You just choose, Okay? Next. What? Well, you'll send some that. That's your assignment. Hindi ba na-lecture yan? Or just look at the well-armed vessels. Intercostal nerves and vessels, where are they located?
Below.
Oh, what is the safest side? To insert the needle then? Below the rib? No. What? Above the rib. Alam nga, sinabi ko. There is obvious already also. Above the rib, you will hit the intercostal vessels and nerves. Next. I remember I dissected one cadaver, removing both the heart and the lungs. So I have the structures and the posterior mediastinal structures. The posterior mediastinal structure. So this is in the cadaver without the heart and the lungs. Okay, there are about 5 or 4 structures in the so-called posterior mediastinum. No, they are the esophagus, which was cut, no? The aorta also cut. The azygous vein, the thoracic duct, the largest lymphatic vessel, right? And the sympathetic chain of ganglia. Do you think we will see the sympathetic chain? No more. Azygous vein? No more. Thoracic duct? No more. So you will be left with 2. Esophagus and descending or thoracic aorta. Okay? In relation to esophagus, there is one chamber of the heart that when it is enlarged or dilated, it will compress on the esophagus. Take a guess. Which of the 4 chambers of the heart will compress on the esophagus, producing symptoms like dysphagia? Esophagus. Is it right atrium? What forms most of the base of the heart? The base of the heart is formed mostly by what chamber? Left atrium, right? Read again, no? I don't know, I may commit a mistake. I know it's left atrium that is related to the esophagus mostly. Huh? Left atrium. So if you have left atrial dilatation or atrophy, it might compress on the esophagus. Okay? In relation to other great vessels of the chest, you search or you look for inferior and superior vena cava. Just easy lang. If not on the cadaver, on the heart. Okay? Wala na. Ayaw na. Sige. Okay, next. We go to the heart. What heart? First, the intact unsectioned heart. So many questions possible. Like the title, no? Number 1, chambers. Can I give chambers? Yes. If I will be here on the anterior aspect, it will be right ventricle. If I will pin on the left border, it will be the left ventricle in the anatomical position. If I will pin at the apex, then that is still the left ventricle, right? If I will pin on the right edge, it must be the right atrium in an intact heart. I may give the great vessels on the heart. Number 1 is your pulmonary trunk or arteries, PA. Then aorta. You can see the pulmonary arteries directly arises from the right ventricle. And then it passes below, but I think most of our heart specimen will have only the proximal portions of this, right? So the more anterior and to the left is the pulmonary trunk, followed by aorta. Now, if I will find, I think there is one specimen showing you this. The ascending aorta, the aortic arch, and then the branches, no? You have the brachiocephalic, the left common carotid, the left subclavian. Okay? We have that specimen. I take one heart specimen. coronary vessels. I'm interested with the coronary arteries. And there are only 4, right? Because the left gives rise to one that is called anterior descending or interventricular. So in this view, the artery runs on that groove, no, anterior interventricular groove. I saw one specimen with the artery running through the anterior interventricular sulcus. So that is the one I remembered, that is obvious, no? Among the 4 coronary arteries. 2 are branches of the left, no? Circumflex on the left border, then anterior descending or interventricular. And then the 2 are branches of the right. Posterior interventricular at the back, no? And that's so-called marginal. Maybe just one, and the most obvious I saw there. It's there, the anterior interventricular or descending. Okay? So many questions from a loose heart organ. And then, that is anterior, no? That is anterior. For posterior, you will see the pulmonary veins from the left or to the left atrium. This is also posterior, no? So, for the left ventricle, I may give left ventricle on posterior aspect. And the left atrium also from the posterior aspect, huh? So, the first thing you do when it is an intact heart, is it posterior, is it anterior? Okay? You know the anatomical position, the apex point downwards to the left. Alright? I will ask for a chest x-ray. It is included, okay? This is easy naman in relation to the heart. No more lungs. Now, the importance of chest x-ray or knowing the borders of the heart is the chest x-ray. This is posterior anterior view. Okay, you know, a normal chest x-ray. You don't have to study abnormal, you will have your 3rd year. Okay, so these are the lungs while they are black. Because the x-ray penetrates, no? Whenever the x-ray penetrates the air, it will appear black. Solid materials or tissues will appear white. Okay? If I will point, again, its chamber to the apex, it will be left ventricle. If I will ask you about the apex beat during physical examination, also called point of maximal impulse, PMI, it falls normally on one area of the chest. It's the same as mitral valve area, right? Left PICS midclavicular line. The same, right? Okay. So, this border pointed is the what? Left ventricle up to the apex. What about this? Right border, atrium. Diba? What about in a lateral? This is again your PA view, right? Apex or left ventricle, right atrium. The diaphragmatic is formed by what? Right ventricle, right? Oh, this is anterior again. So for lateral view, the anterior border is by what ventricle? Right ventricle, correct? While the posterior border up to here is the left. The base is formed by 2 atria. This is the apex, that is the base, right? It is formed by the 2 atria, mostly by the left. So there is the esophagus. That's why I remember the left atrial enlargement might compress on the esophagus. Di ba? Okay. If there is no chest x-ray there, I will print this. I will print these slides. Yun na lang gagamitin ko. It's the same thing. It's the same thing, only in bond paper, right? Why will I look for chest x-ray? Ganun din yan. Hindi ba ngayon, there are chest x-ray na ganito na lang kaliit? Yan, di ba? Nagtitipid yung mga laboratory, yung chest x-ray, ganun na lang. Okay? Ngayon, section. So many sections that can be given. Number one, chambers. In this view, if I will pin at the wall, you know already which chamber is that, right? For example, the kicker wall belongs to this. If I will pin to this area, it's the left ventricle. To this area is the right ventricle. Right atrium, left atrium. But there are few heart specimens that are sectioned perfectly to show the four chambers. Okay? Still, these are obvious. Even one half of the, only one half of the heart specimen, you still see the four chambers. Okay? And then valves. In this view, this is a longitudinal section passing through the interventricular septum. Okay? Be careful, no? Rely on the thickness of the ventricle. Normal heart, the thicker is the left. Therefore, first you have to identify this, no? The papillary muscle, right? I may ask you to identify papillary muscle. Then, the chorda tendineae, which are attached to the leaflets of the valve. Therefore, if you are in the left ventricle, you have papillary muscle and chorda tendineae. The chorda tendineae are anchored or are attached to the leaflets of the left AV valve, which is mitral. If you are on the right, thinner, then it is the tricuspid. So you start from the ventricle because you cannot rely on the atria. Sometimes the atria, the continuation of an atrium to the ventricles is not shown. Okay? That is for the valve. That is for the chamber, no? And papillary muscle for the tendineae and AV valves. Now for semilunar valves, guarding the aorta, there. And pulmonary. Where is the pulmonary? Oh, wala, aorta lang yan, ha? There. Aortic. Where is the pulmonic valve? Okay? We had no, I did not find any specimen that was section. Oh, by the way, like this. Let's make one this afternoon. Huh? This is a section passing through the so-called AV sulcus, the plane that separates the atria from the ventricle, somewhere here. Okay? Or here. The site where you see your coronary sulcus. Okay, so a section that passes through here will show you all the four valves. We'll make one this afternoon. We'll try. Oh, anyway, perfectly sectioned heart. Again, four chambers. Oh. Diba? Right, left, papillary muscle, chorda tendineae, the mitral, the same thing to the right, tricuspid. This is the right atrium, the left atrium. Remember, the left atrium has a smoother wall. Huh? Okay? These crisscrossing muscle fibers in a ventricle are called trabecular carinae. Huh? While in the atria, they are called pectinate muscle. They are different from the papillary muscles. Okay? Yan. We'll see, this is better for identification of valve. If we will have a perfect section, then the mitral, the tricuspid, the aortic, and pulmonary valve will be all seen. If we have the section, imagine in an anatomical position, this is your heart. Your own heart. Why? Anteriorly, there, the pulmonary. trunk guarded by the V valve, isn't it? Then the aortic valve most posterior. What is this? The left? Yes, mitral valve, tricuspid, isn't it? This is your own heart. Pag tinanggal mo your own heart and then section this in front of you, this is you are following your sense of direction, your left and right. Hindi ba? Unless I will rotate it, then it's facing you, it's the same thing. Just remember the pulmonary valve is more anterior than the aortic. And then your problem will be the mitral and tricuspid. Kasi tricuspid, that's three cusps. If that's shown, mitral is bicuspid, only two cusps, right? Okay? Great vessels, again, no problem. What are they? Ascending aorta, I don't know if we have aortic arch. And then if you have aortic arch, you will see the three, brachiocephalic, then the left common carotid and subclavian. You will have your superior vena cava and inferior vena cava that's shown here. Okay? The great vessels. Very easy, no? Pulmonary trunk from the right ventricle, aorta from behind. Okay? Then you have your superior vena cava. Inferior is not shown here. Again, there is your left anterior sulcus, interventricular sulcus. If I will see an artery here, I can expose anterior interventricular artery, a branch of the left coronary artery. And then at the back, see, these are your pulmonary veins, 4 of them, a perfectly sectioned, no? That's the two superior right and left, the two inferior right and left, emptying into the right atrium. This is your posterior interventricular sulcus, right ventricle, left ventricle. Okay, the artery that is obvious is in the posterior, and it's the posterior interventricular or descending branch of the right. Again, I don't know if we will see, the only one obvious is your anterior descending, no? Left. I mean the anterior descending, this is a branch of the left. There. I saw one specimen from your laboratory, in your laboratory. Ito. There's the title. So I'm giving you already the answer there. Lungs, last. Be sure to identify instantaneously which is the right and the left. What is posterior is the more obtuse border, right? The sharp border is anterior. And then the hilus is medial, so this is the left. And that is the right. Isn't it? Now, it's no problem if I ask to identify the right middle lobe or the right lower lobe. Showing the two lungs or just one lung. There are 5 choices: right upper, right middle, right lower, left upper, left lower. Just I will show you just one lung. Giveaway, yeah. Right upper lobe, right middle lobe, right lower lobe, left upper, right, left lower. A B C D E. Parang grade 1. A B C D E. The next problem for the lungs are your structures in the hilus. The artery, the vein, and the airways, the bronchus. This is what I remember, no? Huh? The pulmonary veins are always more anterior and inferior, whether you are left on the right or right. No, huh? Inferior, anterior. Pulmonary veins. Okay? And then what is posterior will be your bronchus. So what is left is your artery, more anterior than the bronchus. You get it? Anterior and inferior vein. Okay? Posterior, bronchus. Anterior to the bronchus, artery, the pulmonary artery. Let us apply this. Impressions. Okay? I'm not talking about impressions, no? There are so many structures that creates impression on a lung. For example, the heart, just choose among the three. The impression of the heart in green, the impression of the descending aorta, or the impression of the esophagus. So you choose. Those are the obvious ones, eh? Huh? Descending aorta, esophagus, or the cardiac groove on both right and left. By the way, your descending aorta is only on the left, huh? Okay? So if it is the left lung, that will show you the impression of descending aorta. So the hilus. What is this? The right or the left? Lung. Right, because this is anterior, right? The more acute and this is the more rounded. So this is the hilus of the right lung. Anong sabi natin? Pulmonary veins are inferior there and anterior, hindi ba? And then posterior is your bronchus. What is left is the artery. Regardless of where is it? The only one remaining is the artery. Again, anterior, inferior veins, posterior, bronchus. Okay? That's why in your right, you have an eparterial bronchus above the artery. And the hyparterial bronchus, which is lower than the artery. Get it? What about on the left? Let us apply. Okay? Anterior and inferior are your veins. Anterior, inferior are your veins. Okay? Posterior, the bronchus. Correct? Anterior, your arteries. Veins, bronchus, artery. Veins, anterior, inferior, bronchus, posterior, then artery. Still, you cannot identify that. You remove your gloves, then you palpate for the cartilage. That is the bronchus. Then you taste your finger. Okay? Oh, more. The right lung showing the upper pulmonary vein, pulmonary arteries again. Right lung, why? This is the posterior, right? Pulmonary veins, lower and more anterior. The posterior is bronchus, then the artery in between. The same, right lung, okay? Pulmonary veins, anterior, inferior, bronchus, which is posterior, and then the artery, sandwich. What about the left? Anterior, inferior are still your veins. And then pulmonary vein, and then posterior, bronchus. Although it appears that it is on the same level as the artery. Whatever. Bronchus has a thicker wall. See? Bronchus, more posterior. The veins, anterior, inferior. Then, the rest, whether it is on the level of the bronchus or superior to it, is the artery. Okay? Then, Ruth's left lung. In other words, I will use the left lung. For what? Then, descending aorta, arch of aorta, right? So, this is your aortic groove, and that is the one for esophagus. Diba? Let's apply again the anterior, inferior, your veins, posterior, bronchus, and then your artery. The color representation is somewhat wrong. No? They used red color for the artery. It must be blue. Okay? Oh, so you ready for your lab? Last day for gross anatomy, right? Go to your If you want, download that, then look. Kasi this will be the questions. This will be the questions eh. Ha? No more. Oh, download yun na. I'll wait for you at the laboratory.